get it. Oh, we did not hit record before now. Okay. I'm going to start this slide over and say it very fast. Okay, guys? Sorry about that. Okay. We need strong leadership now more than ever. And the most important piece is you guys as leaders, because you set the tone of every meeting, day and week. You are either a booster or a bottleneck for your team. You set the culture by following your culture statements or not. And you're always leading by example, whether you want to be or not. Now, the most inspiring part of this is that you, especially with an amazing team, can actually do, be, or have anything you want. Despite a pandemic, despite a tough month, despite a hard year, it's all possible if you can be an exceptional leader. So I have to be perfect. No, you don't have to be perfect, okay? Originally, these notes were just going to be for me, but I think people were a little bit tired of only seeing my face the whole time last time. So we're going to get these. We're going to keep these slides up and you're going to get the recordings too. But I want you to be intentional. You don't have to be perfect, just intentional. So this means when you're not perfect, in fact, I just did this an hour ago. When you're not perfect, apologize and make it right. Your team will respect you a lot more than a perfect person who's never wrong. In fact, people tend to hate working for that person, the person who's never wrong. And the way that I want you to learn to be intentional is to just ask yourself a simple question every morning, and even before every meeting, or even before a presentation like this: who do I want to be? And it doesn't have to be the same person every day, but I always say I want to be happy. I want to be inspiring. I want to be kind, and I want to be successful. So those are some of the examples that you can use. And I am old school Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, like old school motivational speakers. They hate being called that. Not Jim Rohn, he's passed obviously, but the sticky note on the mirror, it works, okay? So if you've got a sticky note on your mirror and it says, who do I want to be today? That will really help you be intentional. You can also put reminders in your calendar. Who do I want to be today? Or you can set alarm reminders. So on your phone, instead of the word alarm, just delete the word alarm and write kind, inspiring, whatever type of leader that you want to be. And you have to be clear. So one of the best ways to improve a business, the team morale, and the numbers. I know we're always worried about the numbers, and it's okay. That's a huge part of business. We need to make money. We need to have cash flow. We need to have money in the bank to sustain the business. So it's not a dirty word, but we really need to have clear roles and goals. So if Cindy and I are on a team, maybe we're the social media team for a company, we both have to have very clear roles, like what is our job and what is not our job, and very clear goals. So what are our goals or KPIs? Hey guys, if I could just ask you to mute yourself if you're not currently asking a question. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand, and Cindy or Nika can just interrupt me. And let me just get Nika back on my screen here. There she is. Just so I can get through all of this information, okay? So job descriptions need to be really clear and as succinct as possible, okay? It's just a list of what they're responsible for. And then we have procedures for each part of their job. That's how we explain how to do each part of their job, okay? Also in the job description, key performance indicators or KPIs. So they need to be clear. The employee needs to believe that they are achievable and that it's worth it. So when you're setting clear roles and goals, just keep these things in mind. Be succinct. Don't try to sound fancy or put big words in there. Just make it very clear, okay? Because job descriptions are meant to be actually used with your people. They're one of your most used tools, actually. In coaching conversations, you want to come back to that job description every time you have a KPI meeting, because you want to look at the KPIs. Did they actually hit their goals? And how's your job going? Did I accidentally add something to your job description that we forgot to put on here? Or are you not doing something that's on your job description? We better talk about that, right? So that's a living document, and it's one of your biggest tools in your toolbox, your job description and your KPIs, and then of course your procedures. So be clear, be succinct, review them often to make sure that they're accurate, clear roles and goals. If you guys write that somewhere, it's going to help you for the rest of your life, I promise. All right. Oh, yes. when I said it's going to help you for the rest of your life, I promise. I just want to add something to that. Anytime you're feeling there's a challenge on the team, or there's like a project not getting ddone, or maybe you have a business partner and the two of you aren't seeing eye to eye, which is very common, unfortunately, because sometimes partners don't develop clear roles and goals with each other. My partner and I in my other business have very clear job descriptions, very clear goals, and we do not do the other person's job. And we have very clear expectations of each other. So things are going great, and they will continue to go great. In fact, we're writing a leadership book together right now. So just make sure that you're really clear roles, clear goals. Okay, guys, that's often one thing that's missing when you're not getting what you want out of your people. So next, you have to train your brain to look for what's good. I'm sure you guys all remember hearing from someone else that our brains, that part of our brains that looks for danger, what's wrong, hasn't really evolved since we were cavemen. And so when we were cave people, we used to have to run and hide from saber-toothed tigers and other people who might try to kill us for our meat that we hunted, other gross things like that. But today, we're relatively safe. Right now, sitting in our offices, looking at our computers, we're not under siege, there's no war going on, there is nobody trying to attack us or kill us. But our brains usually are looking for what's wrong. And so we have to really constantly retrain our brain to look for what's right. Okay, so Jack Canfield wrote a seminal book called Success Principles. And part of one of his chapters was about when he was a teacher and he entered the staff room, and he was so excited and he thought, it'd be a really great place to have lunch. And he heard all the teachers just complaining about the students. It was basically people just saying over and over again, oh, isn't it awful? Ain't this awful? Have you heard this horrible thing? Oh, did you hear who she slept with? So it was like gossip and negativity and everything. And he's like, nope, I am not joining the Ain't It Awful Club. And he ate his lunch somewhere else. So that's something to be really aware of, because I'm not insulting or putting down or condemning anyone in your life, but most people, unless you've intentionally surrounded yourself with amazing people like I have, you probably overhear some gossip. You probably overhear some negativity, criticism of their self, criticism of others, and it gets on you like something you don't want on you, okay? So I'm not saying you can't hang out with your mom or your brother or your aunt or your sister or your cousin who's really negative. I'm just saying, work on your brain, hang around more people who are more positive, and do more things like this so that we're spending time looking at goals and missions and visions, and we're learning, and we're not letting our brains go, oh, look, there's a mark on the wall that's not fixed, or, oh, my house is a famous example because I really like things perfectly clean, but I have 3 gigantic dogs and they break and scratch a lot of stuff. So I just have to let that go. So instead of the Ain't It Awful Club, I'd like to invite you to join my club. And I'd like to invite you to be a member of the Bigger Profits Club. Okay, and bigger profits come from us training our brain to look for what's good, what's done well, what's positive, what we're grateful for, what we can appreciate about our people, and what great things in our business we can focus our people and ourselves on. Now, I know this is a lot of information, guys. You will get a copy of the video once it's edited and put up on YouTube. So you can rewatch some of this, and we'll also take questions at the end. But I really wanted you to get all this, and I only have 39 minutes left. So I'm going to keep going unless there's any questions. And I would actually recommend, if you have a question, write it down. Let me keep flying through because I might cover it. And then at the end, if you still have a question, we will answer it. Sound good? Okay, so they have to trust you and you have to trust them. So you need to show them that you trust them. You need to do what you say you will, obviously. You need to enforce those policies, procedures, and culture statements and job descriptions, because, I've heard a lot of people in exit interviews, I've heard a lot of people leaving because their boss didn't enforce, well, this other guy gets away with murder. Well, I'm over here doing my perfect job, and we get treated the same. So that's not fair. So that's another form of keeping your word, making sure that when you create a document like a job description or a procedure, you hold people to it. And if you can't keep your word, honor it. So that just means if you give someone your word that you're going to meet them for lunch when we're allowed to meet for lunch and you can't make it anymore, you just have to call them up and come up with a new agreement that's okay with them and you. Okay, we're all big people up to big things. So I know that we can't always keep our word, especially when we jam too many things in our calendar, sometimes over top of each other. We sometimes have to reschedule things. So just make sure it's okay with the other person and honor your word. I hope that makes sense. And show your team you're honest and authentic. So the worst thing you can do is talk badly about a client after they leave. That's got to be the worst role modeling I've ever seen. So if I ever caught one of my leaders doing that, that would be a very straightforward conversation about how that's unacceptable. And I would ask them to tell me, you know, how could you have handled that differently? Because now you've badmouthed someone behind their back and your team looks up to you. So what do you think your team thinks? They think you're going to talk about them when they're not there, you know? So it's just not a good idea. If you want to talk to somebody like somebody in your team or a business partner or a client, talk to the person, not about them. Apologize when you're wrong and make it right. Guys, so many people have trouble with this one, but when I learned how to apologize, I think when I was like maybe 22, you know, I gave myself a few years to just be like, no, I'm not wrong. But there's a lot of times where we're wrong or we could have done better. And the more you apologize, the more they respect you because they realize you're authentic and you're not perfect and you're not pretending to be. Okay. In fact, my staff, if I did something wrong and I didn't apologize, they'd probably be pretty shocked. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, here's my favorite one. Stop making other people wrong. So this is, I don't know if anybody here has attended Landmark. It's a type of personal development program taught all over the world. And they talk a lot about wrong making. Now, this goes back to sort of our caveman brains. We very naturally look around a room and see what's wrong. That's not clean. You know, this project's not done. That meeting went long. That person's spending too much time hanging around with that other person and not getting their job done. Just stop looking for things that are wrong and focus on trying to figure out things that are good that you can recognize. And so when we point our team towards an inspiring vision, a wonderful mission statement, and our culture statements and their goals, they shouldn't have time to do bad things anyway. So you don't need to be looking for bad things, okay? Try to catch your people doing things right and honor them. Write them a little note, do something, appreciate them. And I'm gonna say appreciate them in their preferred style, and I will explain that in a little bit. I also want you to figure out your team's learning style, because for me, as you can tell by my terrible slides, which I was told by one of my mentors, you can't have so many words on your slides. You need more pictures, maybe some video. I learn by reading and writing. And I know there's some people that learn by reading and writing as well, and some people that learn by listening. So we're covering as many as we can here. I'm also on video in the little corner here, or you can make me big. But try to figure out your team's learning style. Just ask them, and then adapt your teaching. So with like me in a meeting, if people are like, oh, here, I'll just play the audio for you of this new Fit Tech training manual that we did. I'm like, no, I need to see the paper. Like I need to be able to follow along. So make sure that you learn that for your team, because you don't want your team sitting in a meeting quietly and not saying anything, but they're really not learning anything because they weren't provided with notes or they weren't allowed to take notes. Does that make sense? Okay, now don't ever let your staff down. And by that, I mean, don't ever not have their back. And this is a challenging thing to do with customers. I actually had it happen this morning. Couldn't have been a more perfect example. I was walking into our store, our clinic, and I saw a friend and she didn't look happy and she had a mask on. So like the fact that she didn't look happy was she was doing a good job of it, you know? So it's not really tradition for people to leave our store without feeling very, very happy. In fact, it's like every one of our culture statements and our procedures and our commitment. Shoe Solutions won the customer service award last year, like to prove our point. And we weren't surprised because we were that obsessed with the customer experience. So I kind of brought her back in. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, they can't they don't know where my shoes are. They're back ordered. The tracking number didn't work or whatever. And unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of you guys are experiencing this too. COVID has caused problems with shipping product. Usually when things comes in a week or two, now it's like 5 or 6 weeks. So basically she was told that they couldn't find her shoes, which was not following procedure. And we will talk about that later. I'll talk with them about it later. But I did not tell her, oh, they really effed up. They're in big trouble. But in my head, I was like, oh, they really effed up. They didn't follow the procedure. So I'm like, come back in here, pick out any pair of shoes that you want. I'm going to buy them for you today. And when those other shoes finally get here, those are free too. And so now she's happy. You know, that's how people should feel when they leave our store. That is our commitment. So I could have easily brought in my 2 managers, 2 of the leadership team were out there and just, you know, read them the riot act. And I could have even said in front of the client, you know, you screwed up. This isn't right. But instead I was just like, hey, can you help me? I want to buy her a pair of shoes today. Can you go find her some? And then we're going to comp those ones when they show up too. And my staff was like, yeah, great. Okay. And we all know we're going to talk about it later, but I wasn't like, you guys screwed up. Does that make sense? Don't ever not have their back. They need to trust you. They need to feel cared about and trusted and taken care of. Okay. Appreciate them in a way that actually works. So this comes from the really great book, which I just saw on my shelf when I was looking. I believe it's called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. And some of you that I see on here, I know I have said this to you before. So I'm hoping that you have read that book, or at least had your team do the quiz, because the number one reason people leave a job is because they feel unappreciated. And I'm going to give you a really good example here and just see how you feel about it. Okay. So pretend you're my employee. Would you feel unappreciated if you were in an entry-level position in my company, one of my companies, you received fully paid for by me health benefits? That's something we do for all of our staff. You had unlimited time off and over $100,000 in salary and bonuses, not including gifts and a trip. Well, someone did not feel appreciated from all this money and gifts. And you know what? That's okay. It's my bad. My love language is gifts and words of affirmation. So I'm constantly complimenting people and I'm constantly giving them presents and money. But this girl was quality time and acts of service. And I had never taken the time to appreciate her in those 2 languages. And so she left, and she left unappreciated. She actually said those words. I was like, how could you be unappreciated? I spent so much money on you, but that's not her language, so it doesn't matter. So I now have a neat little chart right underneath my computer on the little stand with all my employees in both stores, both companies, and their first preferred language, their second preferred language, and their least preferred, because unfortunately for me, most of them, their least preferred is gifts. So I really got to adapt when I'm trying to appreciate my people. If you want to do this quiz, it is called the MBA Inventory. And it's the Workplace Appreciation Languages quiz. And there's also a book by, who's the book by?
Gary Chapman and Paul White.
Gary Chapman and Paul White. Thank you so much. And I think the link you want is when you search MBA Inventory, the link that you want is, I need to purchase codes for my employees. It's only $15. Your employees take it, you make yourself a little chart. Actually, the website makes you a chart, print it out, it's beautiful. Then you can look at that chart. Let's say Nika comes into Cindy's office and Cindy's words of affirmation, but that's Nika's least preferred. Cindy looks down and she remembers, oh, quality time. Okay, I'm going to shut my computer. I'm going to give her 5-10 minutes of like, just, she's here. I'm here with her. We want to hang out. She wants to hang out. She just wants to talk about something, maybe share an idea. And that will feel so much better, unless I totally pegged Nika's appreciation language wrong. Did I? You no? Oh, yay, good guess. Okay, so I recommend the book, but at the very least, I recommend the quiz. Did we find that link for them and put it in the chat?
I will find the MBA link.
Yeah, so MBA Inventory. And then you want to get to the spot where it's the basic version and they just want to purchase a code for their employees. Thank you so much. My slides are not turning. Oh, yes, they were. Okay, I'm having trouble here. One sec, guys. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, your vision statement. Who has a vision statement? Awesome. Who knows what their vision statement is? Yeah, no? Okay, so your vision is supposed to be inspiring, compelling. It should paint a beautiful picture. And most importantly, it should be repeated often, so often, more often than your favorite song, and you play it so much and then you get sick of it. And my partner is a true visionary and he's so good at this. He weaves the vision into almost every day, you know, and he's so excited about it. And then the integrators like us, we just build the bridge underneath him as he casts the vision. And he's really good at casting vision. I wish he was actually here right now, but it's got to be with excitement. You got to believe in it. And you have to make sure that the team feels included in it. It can't just be like your vision to get really rich. Like that's not going to inspire the team. You want to make sure that the team's involved in that vision, that they think it's a great vision, that they're excited to achieve that vision and work towards it. And they also must feel purposeful and that their role is meaningful in regards to the vision. You know, they should feel compelled to help you achieve the vision. And like I said, inspired and excited about it. So bonus tip here, guys. If you were on my change management seminar, you would have heard this already, but you actually need a little vision for every change you make in the organization. So when we made the change to have people working from home, you know, we had to cast a vision about like, oh, you get to wear pajamas on the bottom, like I did. I would tell them, you know, and you get to like stay home with your dog and like, you just have to paint a vision for every little change. And there's 4 other steps to successful change, but you guys can find that for free on my website if you want to have a look. Because we are going to keep moving. Okay. Your mission, should they choose to accept it. So if your mission statement is just something pretty that you wrote that your staff are not involved or engaged in, or they didn't help you create it, they're probably not super bought in. They probably don't even know what it is. They definitely don't have it tattooed on their arm. So a mission statement is, in my opinion, the what you do, the what way you do it in, who you do it for, and why. And oftentimes who we do it for is obviously implied, so we can keep that part out. So those people who have a mission statement, does anyone want to share like maybe what it is and if they feel it's inspiring their team? I only have 4 people in front of me, so let me just scan over here. If you're interested in sharing, yes, Grant, is that you?
Sure.
Please go ahead.
My company is Pluto Microbusiness. The mission of Pluto Microbusiness is to enable microbusiness. It's very simple.
Okay, awesome. And what's your why?
My why?
Yeah, what would you say your why is for creating the company, for keeping the company going?
My why is microbusiness. Just the lack of service directed specifically to microbusiness. So our mission is to enable microbusiness. Our vision is to help 1 million microbusinesses.
That's very cool. And do you have a team, Grant?
Yes.
And are they excited about this?
Yeah.
And have you
We
explained
talk
the
about it every quarter.
Great.
And, it guides us.
Great.
And keeps us on track.
So I think you're telling us the why is that microbusinesses are overlooked and they deserve to be served.
That's right.
Okay, so that's a why, and that's a really powerful why. And I think that that's a why that would really connect with your customers, because if I were a micro business and I were feeling like nobody calls me back, or there's nobody that is like targeting me or trying specifically to help me with my marketing or me with my IT or me with whatever, and then I saw something that said your mission statement, and then at the end, because you deserve it, or because it's not fair, or because everyone deserves to be served, or however you want to say it. But I think just adding that little why to the end of it might make it even that much more inspiring to the outside world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I get that you guys are really clear on it in-house. And if you're looking for coaching, which you didn't ask for, so sorry for the unsolicited advice. But if you were to ask, I would say that would be the only thing I would do. Just so that the outside world, they could really get on board with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. So if your mission statement isn't inspiring the team, it's probably a good idea that you guys relook at it together, okay? Because you want to make sure they're involved in at least approving it, maybe editing it, changing it, updating it. But the why is the most commonly left out part. And the why is the most inspiring part. So My why is to help as many business owners as possible have more profit, freedom, and joy. Business owners who truly care about people. Those are our ideal clients. Because there's just so many businesses suffering. And my why goes so much deeper than that, because when I was young, I suffered a lot. And then I discovered I could be very happy, and I did personal development for years and years and years, and never stopped. And so I consider it my responsibility to take people who are unhappy and drag them into the light and make them happy. Even though I know I can't change other people, I hope to inspire them to become more happy. And through business, because I'm really good at business, I use that to try and make business owners happier. So that's my why in a long version, because I'm trying to help as many people as possible feel happy, not stressed, not overwhelmed, not scared, like I want to just give it to you. Here it is, marketing, financials, leadership. We can do this. We can nail this. Let's go. So our why is because business can be better, and it should be. Business should be better. When you own a business, you should be able to make a lot of money at it. You should be able to be happy when you come into work. You should have the awesomest team, and you should know how to get a really good return on investment in your marketing. Does anyone else want to share their mission?
I actually have mine tattooed on my arm. So it was kind of funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. I did not know that, guys. That was not a setup. What is it? What is it, Cindy?
So mine is, I am brave, I am strong, I have faith. And so I use that personally and in business as well, because, we do have to, like you were saying, we do have to do that personally, and then we have to do it in our business life. And in this past year, I've had to show I'm brave. I've had to show that I'm strong, and I've had to show that faith really will get you kind of to the end, like how we started this call out this morning. So I actually have mine tattooed on my arm.
Well, I am flabbergasted. Congratulations. Speechless for the first time ever. Thank you for sharing that with us, Cindy. Culture statements. Okay. People think these are another one of those just like things that you create and put in a book and put it on the shelf. But if you use your culture statements to inspire your team, to help your team know that these are the rules for how we behave around here, to help them know how to act around customers, to help know how we treat each other, to help know that we are positive and problem solvers. We're not negative Nancy's. So it's a set of 5 to 10 statements. And we have 11 in one of our companies, so sometimes you have to. And there's also a way to use culture statements as a client promise. I really like this. I've seen this done well in 2 places. One was a spa, one was a massage company, really big, successful companies. And they have a poster at the front, which says what you can expect from X company. And it's basically got their culture statements right there, because then it reminds the staff, it reminds the front desk, it reminds all the customers. And so we're putting it up there and just promising the customers, and the employees are then reminded of it daily. They are way more likely to stick to the culture statements because they want to make sure they live up to the client expectations. And in some case, the clients will even be like, oh, wasn't I supposed to get a hot towel as part of, as part of the promises? So if you can do that through culture statements and make it a part of your marketing, a positive part of your marketing, or something you think that your staff would love or your clients would love, or even our client promises, you could get those from your culture statements. Now, if you create your culture statements effectively and you make sure people follow them, your culture statements should create your perfect, ideal, and high achieving atmosphere. Now, the way that we do this is we create them together. So we have buy-in, people support what they help to create, and then we coach people with them. So when I coach my 2 leadership people about the shoe situation, I'm going to look right at the culture statements and ask them which one they think that we need to do better, because that is not how our clients leave the building ever. So that's a good example of coaching with them. Or you could sit down, like I'd sit down with Mercedes and I'd be like, okay, one of our culture statements is to be happy, or at least be in the pursuit of happiness. Okay, that's like a rule around here. So we're reading books, we do counseling, we do whatever it takes because we are happy and we're in the pursuit of happiness. Okay, that's what we actually sell at TMH Business Coaching, is happiness. So it's disguised in business coaching, but that's what we're doing here. So I could sit down with Mercedes and I could be like, what's the last book you read? Have you been reading anything? How happy are you feeling, you know, when you're at work? And fortunately for me, she's like, so happy, I love my job. So that's good. But those are just a couple examples of how you can use culture statements to coach your team. You guys have any questions on that? Awesome. Another great point here is that when we are focused on living our culture statements and our goals and our job descriptions and our procedures and our policies, we are not gossiping or being negative. So getting people to be a part of creating all of these things will help them become way more bought in. That's the pro tip at the bottom there. And now I'm going to show you a whole bunch of examples of culture statements. So we actually trademarked that first one because we believe it so much. And the reason I believe it so much is because I have seen thousands of unhappy business owners and thousands more who could be much happier, much wealthier, much more successful. And we prove over and over and over again with our clients that business can be better. So we trademarked that first one. And so that keeps us all I imagine a lot like you guys, Grant. It keeps us all very motivated to help people because we know this stuff works and we know that we can make your business better, you know, like we know. So that's a very powerful one. We give back. This has always been the reason I wanted to be very, very wealthy, is so that I could give as much as possible, especially to children's charities and places that help kids have more choices. Third, we are passionate about finding solutions. So like my team never comes to me and says, it can't be done. So for example, our new online course, I want to make sure that we can pay for it with Apple Pay, because who wants to get out of the bathtub and grab their credit card when they're trying to buy an online course after a glass of wine? Just for example, not me, asking for a friend. But we want Apple Pay installed on all of our stuff. And apparently that is quite a dilemma, and it has taken a lot of hours. But no one's coming to me and saying, it can't be done. They're saying, we're figuring it out. And I just love it. This is why I love my team so much, because they stick to our culture statements and they're just amazing, amazing people. So the other thing is you hire people who naturally fit these culture statements. That's how you fiercely protect your culture. So I didn't hire Mercedes not knowing who she was or what was important to her. I hired her knowing that she loves giving back. She's very passionate about finding solutions and she always figures it out. She has a similar mindset to me in giving back. That's all I'm going to share on that. Also, we're always kind. So she was super kind, and all the people here are always kind. We're always kind. There's never a reason to be unkind. Okay. With all these tools that you have to help motivate your team, do not let yourself slip back into old school construction mentality and think, I got to yell and scare these guys, or I got to threaten these people with their job. That is the opposite of getting good results. Okay.
Andrea says, one of our rules are come to me with a solution instead of a problem.
Ooh, I love that. Good one, Andrea. So come to me with a solution instead of a problem. Awesome. I love it. Love it. Okay. We figured out we have fun. Love that one. We got to remember that one. We're committed to happiness and personal growth. We are humble. We are grateful and appreciative. We are loyal, and we are relentlessly solution focused, because when you're taking over the world, there are a lot of things we got to figure out. So we really, really focus on solutions. Now, here are some from another business. We'll see if you guys can guess which one it is. We're always positive and solution seeking. We share in each other's successes and challenges as teammates. We are always clear, kind, and compassionate. We will support one another regardless of whether we are in full agreement. We know that we are the most professional and impactful option for our clients, so we always offer support, solutions, and recommendations for them. We smash our personal, professional, and team goals together. And I missed one. Okay, there. We are humble and teachable. We love feedback. Oh, good. I'll use that one today. We are always learning and growing. We are truly committed to excellence in our products, customer service, and client care. I can also use that one. Whatever we do it enthusiastically. I love this one. How many of you have people kind of dawdling around the office, not really excited about what they're doing? That doesn't happen here. A lot of enthusiasm around here. We build relationships that lead to long-term referrals and business growth. And the last one, my partner demanded that we add, because he realized that in the last year and a half, during possibly the worst business climate we've ever experienced, we 10x'd the heck out of every number in this business. So not only are we durable and adaptive, we are unstoppable. Those are his words. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but we're opening a new clinic and store in Calgary as we speak. Actually, it's being renovated. So I just want to also throw that in there, guys. I'm not doing this to brag. I am doing this to show you a case study that this stuff works, and it even works when there's whatever else going on out there. Okay. I mean, you also have to be flexible, adaptable. You have to ask for help sometimes, but it is possible to have your best year by far during COVID, okay? And after COVID. And I promise you guys, as soon as things open back up, people are going to come running back into every business. They have been with us because we haven't shut down, because we have work boots were considered a necessity. So we haven't slowed down one bit. We're more active on social media. We're more active paying for more Google ads. We're more active in our reaching out. Okay. Okay. Enough about us. Questions are your superpower. You guys have heard me say this before, but I don't think I've explained it to you. So I want to give you the situations that I would use it in. Okay. So in learning how to effectively appreciate your employees, we're going to ask them what their appreciation languages are, or we're going to have them do the MBA inventory. Okay. In learning how to motivate your employees, like ask them what's more motivating for them. Is it more motivating for you to be able to work at home? Is it more motivating for you to have your office door closed and have like a do not disturb sign for 4 hours so you can get your project done? Is it more motivating to hang around with other people? Like I think Mercedes likes hanging around with other people while working, right? Like she has no problem with hearing like overhearing noise or anything. And ask them what would make them stay with you for 30 years. This is my favorite thing to read. Whenever somebody starts with us, we ask them to write me a letter that tells me as the owner what I would need to do for them to stay with me for 30 years, because I hate turnover and retention is one of the most important things to me, and helping people grow and keeping them on my team is really important to me. So I get these beautiful letters and I reread them every second month so I can remember what's important to people and what they need from their boss and in their atmosphere. So please steal that. What would make you stay with us for 30 years? And then just ask them to write you a letter. In coaching meetings, to help them perform better and be more bought in, you would ask questions like, how do you think we could have done that better? Or how can I support you in doing this better? Or which culture statement do you think we need to really work on here to make sure things are better? Rather than talking at them or telling them, ask questions so that they can come up with the answers, and they'll be so much more bought in and they'll feel so much more important and like they really are a part of your team, not just someone who a dictator is talking to. Okay. Like I said, in decision-making meetings, again, to have them be more bought in, and in turning people from negative to positive problem solvers. My favorite question is, what can we do? I think we've got a few sticky notes around here that say that.
Kelli-Rae, there's just a question from Charlene, and she says, do you have employees update these periodically?
The culture statements?
The 30 years letters.
Oh, no, I should. Good question. Should we put an annual reminder for that? Have employees update? Yeah?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Mercedes is going to put that on the calendar right now. Thank you, Charlene. Anybody else? Any other questions? I think we'll give them a chance to update it. If they don't want to, they don't have to. Cool. Thank you for that insight. That's awesome. That's what I love about these things. Like we learn so much from each other. So feel free to ask questions, share, talk, put your hands up, or at the end, we can have a good conversation too. So strategic objectives, we all know what these are by now. I've talked about them so many times. Strategic objectives are your big 3 goals. Okay, the big 3 goals we want our business to achieve this year. And you should be having a strategic planning session and making sure that you come up with an action plan to achieve them. You know, the marketing plan, the environmental analysis, the SWOT analysis, and really coming up with, I'm not going to get into strategic planning today. It's humongous. I think we're probably doing a seminar on it at some point this year. But strategic objectives are just the big goals that we do the strategic planning around. And they are the 3 big goals that we use to break down into smaller goals for people. So into KPIs. So let's say it is our number 1 strategic objective to do 14 million this year. So that would mean that I need to break down between my sales teams and my sales managers that number as their KPI, and I would break it down per month, or maybe even per week or per day. Another example would be a lot of my successful clients who have doubled or tripled in size since we started working with them, they use their marketing for hiring. So they will create a strategic objective to have a pipeline full of great candidates and all of their current necessary positions filled. And they can achieve that through marketing and through networking, you know, sharing with your people all your contacts that you're looking for the specific person. Other strategic objectives could be, we already talked about revenue goals, gross profit goals. I have one company who thought it was impossible to increase their gross profit, but we made it their #1 strategic objective, and they went from 40% one year to 63% the next year. And that's during COVID. So that's awesome. So if you measure it, you can make it better, right? And everyone should have a budget, which we'll talk about in another seminar. But your gross profit or net profit, these are all good examples of goals you could watch monthly in your budget. Employee satisfaction is a wonderful strategic objective, especially if you don't feel like your employees are satisfied right now. Brand awareness is a great strategic objective to choose because maybe only 10% of people in Lethbridge know about you right now. If you want to get that up to like 100% or 80%, you need to design a way to measure that, maybe like a random survey and then a random survey at the end of the year. But increasing brand awareness and also educating people about your brand, as long as you can make it measurable, is a great strategic objective. Customer retention. Oh, this will save you so much money and make you so much money if you make customer retention a goal. So we could set a strategic objective based on historical numbers. So let's say that 86% of our clients usually come back within 6 months. That's pretty good. But we could set a goal for 95% of them coming back in 6 months. And then we would use marketing, we would use all the different parts of our business to devise ways to achieve that, right? So I'm picturing like emailing people who have bought cross trainers, but who have never bought hiking boots, or emailing people who have bought work boots, but not like nice dress shoes, you know, letting them know about our other shoes. There's all sorts of things we could do, but until you decide, here are our 3 strategic objectives, number 1, 2, and 3, most important goals for the year. Then we don't really attack them, you know? So you got to have those. You got to have your big 3 goals, and you got to share them with your team, and you got to get them on job descriptions and KPIs, and you got to check on them quarterly, okay? At least. And like I said, if it's a revenue or profit number, you should be looking at it monthly in your budget. Okay, does anyone have questions about strategic objectives? I can only see 5 of you. So do you see anyone? Do you have the whole gallery up? No? Okay. I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to move halfway on. What is happening to my screen? Whoa. Can you guys see this? Okay. It's fixed. Follow up. Okay, so follow up. I told one of my team last week, she's like, well, I already called, you know, and I'm like, well, call 7 more times, you know, keep calling until you get what you need. Like they're just putting you on the bottom of the pile because you're not following up. So as little way as possible, I want you to follow up on a lot of things. Sales, 84% of sales are done between the 5th and 12th follow-up. I think 100% of Google reviews are given after like the 20th follow-up. And these are some of the things I want you to follow up on, okay? Are we achieving our goals? So our big 3. Well, no. Are we achieving goals as a team? Are people hitting their KPIs? And then are projects being finished by the end dates that we set for them? Yeah.
They're asking if you could stop share and reshare again because the page glitched out.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault.
Thanks, guys. I did notice that, but then I thought it was fixed. How's it look now, guys? Great. Okay, so follow up. This is one of my secrets to success. It's not a secret anymore. I'm quite annoying as a follower upper when I need something. Many of you might know that because we've done business together or have worked together before, but here's what I want you to follow up on, okay? Goals, KPIs, projects being completed by end dates. Now, as the leader, if you assign a project to someone, make sure you put it in their calendar, have them put in their calendar the time it's going to take to finish the project before the due date, and then have in your calendar as a leader the date you're going to follow up on that important project. Okay, so make sure that it's done on time. And are we on track to hit our strategic objectives? Now this we're going to ask quarterly when we do our quarterly review of our strategic plan with our team. And if we're not on track to hit them, how are we going to pivot? Okay, key performance indicators, you need to have a monthly KPI meeting, which needs to be about 15 minutes with each person. And if you have more than 7 people reporting to you, I would recommend that you break that up and have your leadership team handle 7 people under them and 7 people under them and so forth. Okay, don't want you doing more than 7 people for one leader. And not only monthly do we look at KPIs, weekly and daily measurements are really great, because if we have a sales goal for the month, actually on the other side of this wall, there's a big calendar with the monthly sales goal broken down into daily sales goals. And then every day they update what they actually did that day. And then they update at the end of the week how they actually did for the week compared to budget. So it's really easy to see how we're doing for May. And the sales goal, one of the KPIs is the sales goal for May. So that's awesome. They are called key indicators for a reason. So make sure you do this right. If this is the only thing you take away from this presentation, other than being your best self, that has to come away from today, be your best self, or else it's not going to work. Key performance indicators for everyone and monthly follow-up. And those have to be, if they add up and they're all done and they add up, that they're going to help you hit your strategic objectives. Okay, that's how I figure out my KPIs. If all our KPIs are hit, we will achieve our strategic objectives. Does that make sense? And then your tools. So we got your job descriptions, you got your KPIs, we got your policies, procedures, culture statements. These are all tools in your leadership tool belt that you can use to have conversations about improving performance. Do not get angry. Do not become cold. Do not slam the door. Do not embarrass your employee in front of someone else. Just have a conversation. Okay. And they say praise publicly, criticize in private, but I wouldn't even let the word criticize in there. Okay. It's a conversation where you ask questions and you refer to one of your tools. It could also be the content calendar, or it could be the 3 pillars, you know, like it could be your marketing plan, guys. There's so many tools that you can use to coach people. Just make sure that you remain kind, calm, engaged, and curious. Okay, remember, questions are your superpower. And I lastly wanted to say, execution trumps everything. So many millions of people go to seminars, read books, watch presentations like this, and especially when they're free, guys, people do not use this information, and this information makes people millions of dollars. And I want you to be achieving your goals too. So please use the information you've learned today, put it in your calendar to review it, put it in your calendar to make sure that you're doing it, put it in your calendar to teach to someone else so that you can make sure that you're really getting it. Because I know when I'm teaching you guys, I am really, really cementing a lot of these ideas, even though I already knew them. Sometimes after a presentation, I'm like, shoot, we got to put that in our calendar, you know, like you can't do everything perfectly, but please don't be normal and just forget about this and never look at it again. And don't do anything that you learned today. Please take at least 3 things and implement them in your business. Did you guys have any questions about the previous slide?
Andrea says she's got a question.
Okay, Andrea, I'm going to get you to wait till the end, okay? Because some people are going to have to leave because it's 1 o'clock. So I'm just going to get through this slide, the next one really quick, and then we'll do your question first, okay? So my last 3 secrets for you guys. Number 1, always be growing other leaders because you will need them. As you guys grow, you're going to need leaders underneath you, and they're going to need leaders underneath them. Okay. You will need leaders faster than you think if you follow all of these tips. Okay. Your business is going to grow like wildfire, and you need to always be grooming leaders. Have them read books, listen to the podcast. We do a monthly leadership training. Also, I just said this, but I'm going to say it again. Coach your team members in private. Celebrate in public. Okay. Make sure that you have staff meetings that are like a joyous occasion. They're a celebration. You don't need to go to a staff meeting and be like, you guys are screwing this up. You're not doing this right. This is a problem. Staff meetings should be celebration time. Okay. We give people criticism or coaching in private. Okay. And if you learned something useful today, as always, you guys know I would be so grateful if you could give us a Google review with comments. Now, questions. Andrea.
Mine is sort of industry specific, but maybe you have some insight. I think our biggest struggle is with gymnastics coaches that aren't necessarily involved in like the management and day to day. It's hard to figure out like, because they're not involved in like the sales and the numbers part of it. So it's hard to have like, you know, I know working in retail, we had like sales goals and those sorts of things. So I'm just struggling to give, you know, the coaches that, you know, some of them coach 4 hours a week, like what, you know, goals to give them. So I'm
Right
not
off the top of my head, Andrea, I would say that number one would be parent and child satisfaction, like happy customers. So I would do surveys and I would make sure that every instructor knows that the kids and the parents need to be happy with the progress and with the teaching and with their attitudes and everything. So that's an easy score 1 out of 10 survey every month. Sometimes people don't answer email surveys. So what I would do is I would give the kids the survey on a clipboard at the very end of class before class is over, when you still have 10 minutes, get them to answer it, or if they're too young, make sure their parents answer it before they leave. That's sometimes the only way to get a survey answered. And then the other thing that I would do would be measure them on their students' progress. So if their students achieve the goals that are set for that year of the program, have a certain percentage of kids who should always achieve the objectives by the end, and then see if they meet that. How do those two sound?
Those are awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Anybody else?
I kind of have a question like on the flip side of that. I, as an associate within the firm, you fit kind of within a framework of, you know, the partnership and everyone else. How, like, I want to be a leader within the firm and, you know, the assistants that work with me, I want to treat them well and as part of my team. But how do you kind of suggest doing that within a larger framework when you're not, you know, like a partner or someone who's making those management decisions yet, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but sorry, I was frantically searching for who was talking, so I missed the first part. What is it that you want to help integrate into the company? KPIs or mission statement or vision? Or?
I guess just generally like culture and positivity and that like enthusiasm piece, bringing yourself into, you know, the firm, but like doing that within the framework, you know, not stepping on toes, I guess is the best way to put that.
So leading from within sort of thing, like you're not in a leadership role, but you want to help bring some of this great stuff in?
Yeah.
First of all, if you have that kind of relationship, I would invite them to watch this recording. It'll be on YouTube in a matter of days, and we'll send it out to all of you. You might just say, you know, I watched this presentation, it was really inspiring, and these businesses that Kelli-Rae works with are doing crazy things, and I want us to do really well too. So maybe we could all watch this together. I'm not sure if you guys do group learning. There's a good book called Leading a Leader Without a Title by Robin Sharma that I might recommend if you like reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story, so it's like a fable. So some people don't like those books. So if you don't like that one, I would also ask, like, who's the leader? Is it like a whole bunch of leaders?
Yeah, it's a partnership. So there's, I think,
one. There's like 5 of them. Okay. Do you have one that you report to?
Kind of. Unofficially, yes.
Okay. Do you have people that work under you?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I would start there. I would just ask, is it okay if I implement this with the people that work for me? Because I would love to see better performance, and I would love to see more positivity. And I would just love, you know, some of what Kelli-Rae has bottled up and she's selling for free on this presentation. Does that sound like a good place to start?
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you're so welcome. And I will say too that although lawyers, doctors, architects, engineers, accountants, and some other professionals are kind of business coach resistant, they're usually the best clients. And I've had one of every one of those. So when they realize that there's a lot more to business, you know, and making people happy and hitting their numbers and actually really loving what you do, then they might reach out or they might read some of my free stuff. But I've helped lawyers, accountants, engineers, architects, and They all learned a ton and they loved it, and they all like quadrupled, if not 800% their business, the bottom line. So this stuff makes money. So I'm teaching you it because I want you to feel good and be happy and be successful. But really, my number one goal is to find money. And this is what all this is doing. It's a very happy side benefit of your team being happy, a lot more money. Cool? Be brave, share it with them. Maybe you can spearhead the initiative. Just say, I'll try it with my department. Yeah, I hope to see you on the next call and you can kind of update us. That would be awesome. And guys, just a reminder, everything that is shared in here is completely private and confidential. Please do not repeat it outside of this virtual room. Okay? Any other questions, guys? Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know that was a lot of information. Please take it, teach it to someone, share it with someone, put it in your calendar to review the video. We'll send it to you in a few days. And don't let this die on the internet. Please use it in your business and you will be happier soon, I promise.
Thank you so much, Kelli-Rae. As usual, that was a wonderful presentation. I know I got some tidbits out of it, so I'm really excited for, I think I'm going to do that quiz and figure out what my love language is at work. I know what it is at home, so it'd be interesting to see if it's similar or not.
Oh, girl, let me tell you, this is the hugest thing. If this is all you do, like, sorry, I have the chat huge now and I can't get rid of it. The Workplace Appreciation Languages by Gary Chapman is, the book's pretty similar to the Love Languages book, but I know my husband and I did the Love Languages test, totally made our relationship a million times better. But that, even though my husband is the most important person in the world to me and that relationship is the most important, my staff are a very close second, and using the workplace appreciation styles has worked so well because they do feel appreciated. They feel loved, when before I was trying to appreciate them in the wrong language and it wasn't working. So, oh, I'm so excited for you to do that too. It's going to be awesome. And you can just be like, hold on. Oh, quality time. Okay, let me close my computer, you know?
Yeah,
And they
I love that.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
it's often different than your love languages one because you can't get bum squeezes at work, right?
We could, but then Charlene might have to get involved.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna cut this part out, Mercedes. Okay, guys, have a great day. It's so good to see you smiling. Enjoy your week. I hope the sun comes back soon.
Thank you again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelli-Rae.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Take care.